It's great to have you with me for this morning practice. Always love seeing your faces and having some company here as I enter into this movement practice and sitting practice. I have to laugh about last week. I'm going to grab the singing bowl because for the last year and a half or almost year and a half that I've been doing these Zoom classes because of the pandemic, I've been using this singing bowl and just delighting in the sound of the vibrations in all of my classes, as well as, of course, last week in our sound meditation, singing bowl meditation. And so it's kind of made me chuckle and laugh to think that it was only last week that I discovered that the sound doesn't work for this. So I just had to mention that. It's just kind of one of those funny things. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Today, going ahead and standing, we'll start here with our movement practice and then settle into a sitting meditation. Once again, we do have transcriptions on the bottom of the screen for those who this may be helpful for. But if you don't want it, feel free at the bottom of your own screen. There is a way to click on transcription and just press hide subtitles. I believe that's what it says. And so if that's getting in the way of you seeing the screen clearly, feel free to do that. So standing now comfortably, feet hip width apart. We're going to begin our practice today re-entering into this body, reacquainting ourselves with this vehicle that we live with, taking us for this ride through our life. Often we find ourselves floating outside our bodies, almost weightless, when our thoughts are carrying us and driving our experiences. And so today we'll begin by actually feeling the sensation of dropping back in. Going ahead, and if you'd like to close your eyes to begin this practice, or if not, just resting your eyes softly, gazing softly. Beginning by noticing the sensations of the body standing here, maybe the touch of the air on the open skin, feeling the contact of the soles of the feet on the ground, just noticing the dimension, the height, the width, and the weightedness of the body. Beginning to turn towards the breath. And starting simply by being with the gentle rhythm of the breath. Just beginning to notice this breath that is with us all the time, normally not in conscious awareness, but simply by turning towards it at any time we want, we can notice the sensations of the breath. Noticing the expansion, the rise of the body. Noticing as the shoulder girdle, the shoulders begin to lower and the chest and belly move inwards with the out-breath. So now going ahead and taking in a slower, more complete in-breath. Feeling the rise of the body, the expansion of the body fully. Noticing the sensations as the shoulder girdle begins to rise. This feeling of lengthening and growing. And then a slower, more gradual and complete out-breath. Feeling the sensations of this out-breath as the shoulders and shoulder girdle begin to lower. The heaviness of the body then as it's being held by the surface beneath you. Going ahead and taking in another slower, more complete in-breath and being with this rise and elongation of the body. The widening sideways, forward and backwards in the rise. And then slowly, maybe even with a sigh, gradually releasing the breath and being with the sensations as the whole body sinks down. Here now, following the breath all the way down the legs, out the soles of the feet, and resting with the sensations here at the soles of the feet. So steadying the breath, the normal, steady, natural rhythm of the breath. And anchoring your attention here to the sensations of the feet, feeling the weight of the body, the pressure, the contact, coming back to the body on solid ground, rooted and anchored, this stable foundation, noticing the touch of the bottom of the heel. If you want to gently rock side to side and bring awareness to the surface, the under surface of the heel touching down, the edges of the feet, maybe noticing the arch, feeling into the arch on each side, the balls of the toes, maybe wiggling your toes a little bit, noticing as the toes touch down, coming to stillness. And on your next out breath, as you feel comfortable and as you're ready, going ahead and drawing your tailbones in together just very gently, very slightly, to gain a little bit of tension in the back of your hips. And the next out breath, going ahead and drawing back the belly towards the spine, bringing in a little bit of tension into the lower abdominal region. And then an in-breath, gradually letting the shoulders rise with the in-breath. And on an out-breath, slowly letting them roll back and just letting the arms rest to your side. Releasing your knees just a drop so they're not locked in place. We're entering into this mountain pose. The feeling of tallness and dignity and height and stability firmly rooted here to the surface beneath, but a nice core stability. The head even to the ceiling. And here again, an in-breath, and in this mountain pose, this breathing, living mountain that we've created, feeling the body now rising on the in-breath. Stable, strong, and releasing down into the surface beneath you on the out-breath. So going ahead here and clasping your fingers together in front of you with the arms extended. The natural steady rhythm of the breath always in the background. Going ahead and allowing the arms now to rise up until they are parallel with the ground. Breathing. And then gently pulling the fingers apart away from one another with the elbows slightly extended. Starting to feel a broadening of the shoulders. And reaching the knuckles and the fingers out in front of you as you pull the fingers out with the breath. And then on the next out breath, allowing the shoulder girdle and the shoulders to release. So still this broadening, this expansion here, but releasing the tension in the shoulders and the neck. And then on the next in breath, going ahead and letting the arms slowly rise up with the breath. And as you reach the ceiling, keeping the fingers laced and extending the knuckles up to the sky, gazing upwards into the palms of the hands, feeling the body elongating and the touch of the breath here. And then beginning a sideways bend to your left. So guiding the right fingers and wrists to the left as you move into the sideways bend. Breathing and just noticing what's here for you, going only as far as you'd like to slowly, noticing sensations under the right shoulder girdle, the whole right side of the body, feeling the elongation here, and then coming up with an in-breath and extending up once again with the gaze, the knuckles towards the ceiling, feeling the fullness of the breath, And then on the out breath, going ahead and beginning a sideways bend to the right. Attending to the shifts and changes of sensation with the breath. If you'd like to, on an out breath, maybe gently pulling the left fingers out away towards the wall, seeing what is here for you. Coming back up on an in breath, extending, breathing, and then allowing the arm to come back down in front with the out breath. And so once again, clasping those fingers together in front of you, extending the arms as you feel ready. If you need to rest the arms, that's fine. Take your time. Clasping the fingers together, and this time again, allowing the arms to rise until they're parallel. Bringing the knuckles forward, pulling the fingertips apart, and on an out breath, releasing those shoulders. We're going to move into a sideways trunk rotation here. So beginning by turning your body slowly to the left, and you can soften your elbows here, and turning from the lower part of the hips, eventually moving up the spine to the mid back, eventually moving, allowing the head and the neck to join in. And you're going to notice perhaps that the right knee begins to bend to allow for more movement, breathing. And then slowly coming back. If you need to rest again before we go in the other direction, feel free. Reestablishing this position of broadening of the shoulders and release. And then going ahead now and beginning from the lower part of the hips, lowest part of your vertebra, the lumbar region, beginning to guide the body to the right. Noticing as the left knee may bend to allow, and softening your elbows here, the mid back, breathing, eventually the shoulders and the neck, waking up the spine, and then starting with the head and shoulders, the upper spine, eventually the lower spine, and just letting those arms drop back down. And so with your arms to your side here, let's go ahead and reestablish our mountain pose. Beginning by feeling the breath. And on the next out breath, drawing the tailbone and the belly in, just very gently releasing the knees just a little bit. Rolling the shoulders back, tall and stable and anchored. So we'll move into a balance pose here. So beginning by just starting in holding this core stability, breathing, and beginning by just shifting side to side, noticing how you can maintain the mountain pose and the stability even as you shift and release weight from one side to the other. Noticing if perhaps you lose the core stability, and as you shift, you feel a release here. So tightening back up gently and noticing the core stability. And then we're going to go ahead and begin by shifting to the left. So noticing as the weight builds onto the left leg, all the way from the hip, tension building all the way down the left leg, and the weight being held on the left sole of the foot. As you become a little more weightless on the right side, just the toe touching down. Holding your stability here, perhaps bringing your arms out just a little bit. Breathing. And if you'd like to start in this kickstand pose, letting the shoulders release, being aware of tension here and just letting them release a bit. And then finding a position that works for you. So the eyes open, finding a focal point. Perhaps this is where you'd like to stay. And if this is where you want to stay, being with the breath, noticing the effort here, and holding your gaze here, perhaps you may like to come up towards the knee, coming in and out of these poses anytime you want. There's no particular pose that needs to be established, what we're doing instead is just simply bringing awareness to the sensations of the body, helping to anchor us here to the present moment through movement and poses. And so perhaps this is a nice pose for you. And if it is, being with the sensations here, perhaps coming up a little higher to a tree, releasing the shoulders here, or maybe higher if you would like today. Perhaps down at the chest, playing around a bit, but also finding sort of a sweet spot where you feel you can hold your attention. Notice the sensations of the body. And so as we're going to come out of this pose, we're going to do it deliberately, touching the right toe down, still having most of the weight on the left, holding the core stability. And then we're going to notice this process of weight shift. So feeling the right toe touching down. And then as we gradually begin to transfer the weight to the right foot, noticing that moment that we have equal distribution. And then an in-breath and an out-breath, releasing all the weight into the surface, letting gravity take its hold and just releasing it all. And now shifting our weight onto the right leg in the same fashion. So bringing in that gentle core stability and noticing as we transfer weight onto the right leg, the tension, the effort that's required here from the hip, even up the spine, all the way down to the knee, the calf, the ankle, and feeling the heaviness of the weight on the right sole of the foot. Arms out to the side, being with the breath and noticing just the toe touching down. This may be where you want to hold, and that's fine here as well. Holding your gaze to help with the balance, perhaps coming into a kickstand pose, maybe playing around with if I lose my core stability and reestablishing it. Releasing the shoulders and being with the sensations here. Feeling what's present for you, noticing what you'd like to try here, and if there's any tendency for you to be judging or comparing to somebody else on the screen, thinking that you should be doing more, self-doubt. Maybe this is a tendency. Here, there's nothing to achieve. Just noticing, attending to what's here. You might notice at this side, you're more shaky or less balanced, feels different in some way. What's here for you? Finding that sweet spot, breathing. And then once again, as we come out in a deliberate fashion, touching down the left toe, feeling the breath, and then noticing this transfer of weight as we start to return the weight back to the left side and the equal distribution on both sides. And an in-breath. And then this full release, surrendering to gravity on the out-breath. Feeling the weight being held on the surface. And so before we move into a lying down movement pattern here, yoga sequence, let's go ahead and just wake up the shoulders a bit more deeply. And so I'm going ahead and doing some backward shoulder circles. First, feeling into the breath, and then really being with the sensations here as you allow yourself to move in a broad circle. Perhaps noticing the expansion of the back as the shoulders come together, or the expansion of the chest here as the shoulders come together in the back. Maybe the opposite direction, whatever pace feels right for you. Always being with the breath here, and then just the right shoulder. Perhaps as you move your right shoulder forward or backwards, in this broad circle, starting to get the whole body involved. A bit of the spine rotating and backwards. And releasing on the opposite shoulder, one direction or the other. Shoulders up to the ears, really squeezing, and then with a sigh, a full out breath, releasing the body into the surface beneath. We'll do one forward bend and then we'll move into a lying down pose. So we're going to bend at the region of the hips, if possible. Hands on your thighs. Feeling the breath, and on the next out breath, going ahead and beginning to feel the hands sliding down the thighs towards the knees. And the knees can be bent here, straight, depending on your level of flexibility. When you reach the knees, allowing the shoulders and head now to just collapse forward and breathe. What's here? Probably quite a bit, huh? First time maybe you bent in this way this morning. Noticing sensations on the right, on the left, the back of the legs or the back of the spine, wherever, whatever is here for you. And then bending the knees into a seated position as you let the arms rise ahead and slowly coming all the way up with the breath, extending those fingertips high, breathing, and then turning the palms and very slowly just indulging in the sensation of the arms drifting down with gravity. Maybe feeling the air as it touches the palms or flows through the fingertips. And noticing the moment the hands touch the thighs, perhaps. Being with the sensation of touch. And as they do, an in-breath and a full release of an out-breath. Taking your time now and entering into lying down position. Legs extended, uncrossed, and toes falling away from one another to release the tension in the entire hip girdle and legs region. Arms extended to your side with the palms turned slightly upwards. Whatever position feels right for you with the arms here. And beginning to feel into the breath here. It's nowhere to go and there's nothing to do, nothing to achieve. Just this breath. Resting your attention on the expansion and the feeling and sensations of release. Each time you move into an out breath or a release, doing your best to release the muscle tension throughout the body, along with the breath. Each out breath melting a little deeper, being held by the floor beneath you. And so here, sensing into the weight of the body. You know, this practice is we're coming back home to the body, reacquainting ourselves, more intimate relationship with our body. So noticing this body lying here and the weight and heaviness of the body, the touch of the body, guiding your attention to the bottom of the heels and the contact here. The bottom part of your calf as it meets the floor. Perhaps a region of your thighs, or the heaviness of the hips and buttocks touching down. Continuing and directing your attention up, maybe noticing this arch, this space that does not touch the floor, and then right where pressure begins, contact in the region of the mid to upper back. The contact of the shoulder blades. Perhaps feeling the pressure of the breath here in the region of the back of the shoulders, in the upper back, as it builds with the in-breath and is released. And continuing to move up in this space, this arch of the neck, cervical spine, and then right where the head is touching down. Is it possible to rest your attention here for a moment between the ears? Taking a moment to just be with the sensation right here. So turning your palms down now. Extending your fingertips out towards the feet. And the next in-breath, allowing the arms just to push up towards gravity, almost like the air is thick with consistency, and feeling the air, feeling the temperature of the air, the viscosity, the air as it's flowing through the fingers, breathing, and then allowing the arms, as you're ready, to gently drift back down overhead with the breath. And whenever it is that they touch down, if it's right for you, extending the fingertips away from the head, beginning to elongate the upper body and pushing the heels, the soles of the feet in the opposite direction. Noticing the sensation of the in-breath against this elongated, stretched out torso. Noticing right where you feel the breath here. Releasing the tension a bit and then extending just the right fingers away from the head and pushing the right sole of the foot and heel away from the body. Again, tuning into the breath here. Feeling the touch of the breath on this elongation on the right side of the body, where you may be feeling it. And then on the out breath, releasing the tension and repeating that on the left side, extending the left fingers out away from the head and the left sole of the foot and the heel in the opposite direction. And again, noticing the touch of the breath here. Releasing on an out breath. And then on the next in-breath, allowing the arms to push up against gravity towards the ceiling. Feeling almost the weight of the air, the touch of the air on the palms or through the fingers. Breathing and letting the arms slowly begin to drift down, back towards your side. Just the simple, very simple motion. Simply bringing awareness to sensations that may be present, to the sensations of touch as the hands meet the floor, and noticing with an out breath as the weight of the arms are released into the floor and the toes flopping back out to the side. Maybe taking a moment to see how the body feels now after that simple movement and elongation of the body. Being with the full cycle of the breath. Going ahead and bending both of your knees, sliding those heels up, bending the knees up towards your chest and clasping your knees, whether it's over the top of the shins or underneath the back of the thighs, and beginning to draw the knees up towards your chest, slowly as you attend to what's happening here. Breathing. See if it's possible to feel the shifts of sensation that happen as you slowly move the knees closer to your chest. Maybe touching in with the sensation of the breath as it meets the thighs. Continuing to draw the knees closer if this feels right for you. Maybe lifting your forehead up. Breathing. And lowering one vertebra down at a time, noticing the head touch, and then just letting the knees go side to side, turning your head in the opposite direction, and doing this with the rhythm of your breath. So no need to rush. Again, there's nowhere to get to here. Just noticing if there's this need to strive or do more. It's not what this practice is about. Reacquainting ourselves with the body. Using these sensations, these very simple sensations as we tune in and connect with our bodies to help still the mind. So coming back to stillness, placing your hands on the top of the kneecaps and put the knees together, going ahead and moving in small circles in one direction or the other. This nice massage on the low back, feeling the shift of weight from one region to the next and moving in the opposite direction with the breath. Coming to stillness and drawing those knees up one more time with the breath. Slowly, and deciding if you'd like to come up a little bit more, perhaps. Mindfully connecting to the sensations here at the back of the lowest part of the spine, the sacrum. Breathing. And then releasing the legs down so that the feet now are flat. The soles of the feet are flat on the surface. The knees are pointed up towards the ceiling. About hip width apart, and the palms are facing down. So actually, let's go ahead and move the heels so that they're actually touching and the knees are actually touching. So they become almost like one unit here. Feeling the breath. Moving your arms out to either 45 degrees, or if you'd like to, we're going to move into a trunk rotation. So you can also clasp your fingers together, place them behind the back of your skull and open up the shoulders, whatever feels best for you. Feeling the breath and then letting the legs as one unit gently fall to the left. As you turn your head to the right and do your best to keep the right shoulder flat if possible. A lot of sensations here to be noticed, all the way up and down the spine, the hips, maybe the outer part of the right thigh. Just moving slowly and attending, connecting to these sensations. When we attend in this way, we're able to offer ourselves this sensitive attention so that we can do this carefully without hurting ourselves or overdoing or forcing. But at the same time, discovering what's here, what's possible, and breathing. And on the next out breath, inviting in a bit of a deeper release, letting the body melt a little bit further into this pose, seeing what's here. As you rest here, noticing if the sensation is fixed, or maybe there's a bit of texture or movement, shifts and changes. So engaging your lowest part of your abdominal, tightening just a touch as you bring the knees back up to center, and then being with the breath, and on the next out breath, just letting the knees fall down to the right. Turning your head left and doing your best to keep the left shoulder flat. Breathing. Being with whatever sensations are present here on the left side of the body with this deeper trunk rotation. Maybe even up into the shoulder region as we stretch and elongate in this way. Perhaps all the way up and down the spine. And the next out breath, inviting in this deeper release as we continue to rest in this pose. Releasing all the muscles and seeing what you notice here. And then engaging the lower abdominal and coming back up to neutral. Drawing the knees back up to your chest. Slowly again, deciding how far you'd like to go. Connecting here with the sensations, and maybe on an out breath, coming up a little farther. Lifting your head again if that feels good for you. And then releasing the tension just a bit. Still the knees together, arms over or underneath the knees. And then here, crossing your leg. So taking the right leg and tightly crossing it over the left leg. Placing either your interlaced hands over the left knee. Or for some, you may want to try placing your hands together underneath the left thigh. Either way, beginning to slowly draw the knees up to your chest in this cross-legged position. See what's here now. Potentially there are some sensations that are waking up in the back of the right hip, the lower part of the right lumbar spine or lowest part of your spine. You may even want to take your left hand and place it on top of the right foot. Kind of an interesting way to deepen this stretch. And on the next out breath, a gentle downward pull of this right foot as you continue drawing your knees to your chest. Just a way to deepen the stretch if you'd like to. Not forcing anything, just mostly exploring and discovering what's here with this quality of curiosity. Just a friendly inquisitiveness. And then releasing the tension here, uncrossing and drawing your knees back up towards the chest with the breath. And then as you back off the tension now, crossing your legs tightly by bringing your left leg over the right knee. So the legs crossed together with your hands either laced together over the right knee, or perhaps underneath the back of the right thigh. And again, either way, slowly drawing the knees up towards your chest as you notice what's here for you right now. Connecting with the sensations as you gently continue to draw the knees upwards. Or maybe you find that this is far enough and just noticing the sensations here when you find whatever your limit is or your boundary. Careful attention, this level of sensitivity, knowing how far is right for you. And then if you'd like to deepen, you can take your right hand now, place it on top of this left outer part of your left foot. And on an out breath, perhaps a gentle downward pull as you continue to draw your knee up to your chest. What's here now, perhaps? The back of the left hip or spine or the back of the left thigh. Just discovering what's here now and then releasing the tension, bringing your legs back uncrossed and once again drawing the knees up to your chest. And so letting your legs now return open and outstretched, elongating, opening up the palms of the hands as your arms are extended. And on an in-breath and an out-breath, let the toes fall away from one another. The next out-breath, releasing all that's not necessary in the form of muscle tension, melting a bit deeper. And noticing what's here now, how the body feels now, right in this moment. Shifting and attending now, connecting with the sensation of a full cycle of the breath. So following the sensations of the in-breath as the belly begins to rise and expand, the ribs perhaps gently glide outwards. The chest begins to rise, the collarbones, breasts, upper ribs, and the pressure here. And then the sensations all the way to the bottom with the out breath as everything begins to cave back in, maybe pausing for a moment. And then just allowing the breath to reestablish its natural rhythm. And as you feel ready, going ahead and gradually coming to a position that you would like to engage in our sitting meditation. So you may want to stay lying down today, which is just fine. You may want to find a cushion or a solid chair. So beginning to settle in. Gradually beginning to settle into this position, to settle the body and mind. This newly reawakened body with perhaps a bit of a deeper presence here. Noticing the sensations of the body sitting here, the position of the body, the breath, in whatever position you've chosen. The spine gently rising tall from the sacrum, opening the shoulders and the chest just a bit. So this posture reflects this intention of presence, wakefulness. Feeling the steady, warm rhythm of the breath, this natural rhythm of the breath. Beginning to sense into the weightedness of the body here. The out breath, releasing all that's not needed in the form of muscle tension and beginning to feel the weight of the body being held by the surface beneath. Softening the features of the face. Beginning to open the door of awareness now. What may be happening in your surroundings? Perhaps sensing into the coming and going of sounds here, right now. Maybe noticing the silence between sounds. Or there's always this constant humming, buzzing sounds that can be heard as ambient noises. Just gently receiving sounds from within your space, outside your room, perhaps. Is it possible even to receive the sounds from within of maybe the out breath? Perhaps touching in with other sensations in your surroundings, opening up to the possibility of a particular smell. What it's like to smell nothing. To the temperature of the air as it meets the skin. Maybe even to the moment the air touches the open skin. The nerve endings receiving contact of the air. Sensations that may be present throughout the body, perhaps. Perhaps at the level of the skin, the surface of the skin, with air as it meets the skin, or clothing touching down on the skin. Contact points of the body, wherever that may be, maybe noticing where the hands are resting and the contact here. Where the feet may be resting, this contact point as well. Again, this solid, stable point of contact and weightedness of the hips. Perhaps sensations deeper within. Gently scanning the body and noticing perhaps tension or tugging, tingling, pulsing. Even an area of discomfort to touch into lightly. Taking it all in, turning towards whatever may be present just as it is. Beginning to feel the body come to life with the gentle touch of your attention. Exploring with curiosity what's here without resisting or pushing anything away. Maybe beginning now to shift your attention towards what may be within in the form of the activity of the mind or the felt sense of the heart. Movement of thoughts, this constant moving, coming and going of thoughts, wandering, or particular thoughts that may be hanging over, ruminating and spinning round and round, heavy. Allowing space for awareness of whatever is showing up in the form of thoughts. Maybe noticing if there's an emotional flavor to a particular thought. Perhaps a particular bodily sensation that is manifested from a particular emotion. Anxiety, I feel it deep in the upper part of my chest. Restlessness, sort of an empty fluttering maybe in my belly. Making this body-mind connection. Allowing yourself to be with each thought just as it is. The mind thinks, the brain thinks, this is what it does. And so offering space, turning towards wherever the mind may be taking you with presence and awareness, instead of being dragged away down a rabbit hole into this place of unawareness. Holding each thought, noticing its content, even noticing an emotion that may be attached to it and holding it there in awareness. Exploring what's here. And then allowing this thought to simply pass by. And so finding this anchor that stabilizes you perhaps the most, that's most supportive of your concentration. Gathering your attention and stabilizing it here or resting here, perhaps with the sensations of the breath. For some, it may be sound. Others, it may be a particular sensation of contact, the feet, the hands, or the buttocks touching down. Guiding and directing your attention towards the physical sensations of what is here for you with this anchor of your choice. Just resting with one particular object of awareness. Maybe visualizing as you're resting here in this place, anchoring your attention to this landing spot, this focus point. Maybe visualizing as if you're sitting on the bank of a river, maybe one that you know of in this region, that you've often gone to visit, and sitting down and spending a moment here with your anchor as you also bring awareness to this movement, the current of the river moving in one direction, swiftly flowing, the sound of the river, maybe noticing the wind, feeling the sensation of the wind as you visualize this experience moving in the same direction as the current. Underneath a large, maybe oak tree. As you're resting with your anchor here, perhaps each time a thought begins to drag you away, holding it in awareness for a moment, as if it's a leaf that has fallen from the tree above, that's gently falling down, and attending to it, watching as it slowly drifts down in front of you, attending to the content of this thought, turning towards it, exploring what's here, maybe the colors of the leaf, as we translate that towards the content of the thought, holding it in moment to moment awareness, and then noticing as this leaf settles down onto the river and begins to gently flow with the current, and allowing this flow, following, turning towards and being with this leaf as you watch it gently float away. Coming back to your anchor now. Tuning into the sensations that are here with this anchor of your choice. So the next thought arises. Isn't this interesting? This thought is planning, noticing it as if it too is a leaf floating down and being with it, allowing space for it, patience as it floats down, investigating with curiosity and noticing too as this thought lands on this river and following the gentle flow of the current and watching the thought float away. Over and over again, not resisting, not trying to fight the current or grasp on to any particular thought, become entangled in it. Just allowing. And coming back to the anchor as you set the thought down and watch it move on. each thought just as it is, not trying to fix it or change it or judging it. Maybe saying to yourself, isn't that interesting? I'm thinking about a conversation from yesterday, being with it and watching it move on. Each time coming back to this anchor, with this practice, we're cultivating this ability to be present with all the experiences of our life. And to let go of what may not be needed. Cultivating the ability to allow each experience to be just as it is without wanting it to be different. Here the moment is anyways. Perhaps discovering that this level of presence, allowing ourselves to be with whatever it is that shows up just as it is, without fighting, resisting, lessens the tension, allows us to be with inevitable challenges with more ease and contentment, to see what's really here. Not all wrapped up and entangled in our intricate and false narratives. And so as you're continuing to rest with your anchor in this way, I just want to end our time together with a poem by Dana Falls called Let It Go. And all of you have possibly heard in one of my classes, but it's quite meaningful. Let go of the ways you thought life would unfold, the holding of plans or dreams or expectations. Let it all go. Save your strength to swim with the tide. The choice to fight what is here before you now will only result in struggle, fear, and desperate attempts to flee from the very energy you long for. Let go. Let it all go and flow with the grace that washes through your days, whether you receive it gently or with all your quills raised to defend against invaders. Take this on faith. The mind may never find the explanations that it seeks, but you will move forward nonetheless. Let go, and the wave's crest will carry you to unknown shores beyond your wildest dreams or destinations. Let it all go and find the place of rest and peace and certain transformation. And so if you feel like this is comfortable for you, coming back to the breath, if you weren't already here, expanding the breath and feeling the fullness of the breath all the way until it's received by the chest cavity and begins to spill into all the regions of the body. And then perhaps with a sigh, gradually, slowly releasing the breath, following the sensations of the breath all the way to the bottom. Here, perhaps releasing all that's not needed, pausing for a moment, and then allowing yourself as you feel ready to go ahead and Open your eyes just enough to bring in the light, perhaps. With your gaze down, noticing the texture, maybe the colors or shadows, with presence of what's in your visual field here. And then continuing to move your gaze upwards and maybe looking around. Being with the breath and knowing that it's possible to take this feeling of presence and stability, feeling grounded with more clarity into your day anytime you want. Great way to set the stage for your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and perhaps we'll see you next week.